we are come up with one more interesting video on averages. So in the previous session, we already started about this concept from the basics itself. And if anyone has missed those videos, I kindly request you to watch those videos and start this video today. Let's start with the agenda of today's video here. And today's video, we are coming up with the introduction of the topic. And after that, the completion of introduction topic, we are trying to give some examples to understand that concept, and after that we are trying to solve some of the problems which were asked in the previous examination. So this was today's agenda. So try to be careful while listening the concept. Why? Because if you are good at the basics of concept only, you will be able to solve the problems of averages topic that I already told in the previous sessions. So all you need to remember is what is meant by average and what is the basic definition for average. So what is the basic definition we are having? The average will be equals to sum of observations divided by the total number of observation. So remembering that formula, we are trying to modify this formula today with some other method here. So with the introduction of one more model here. So what is that model? Let's see it carefully here. So today we are going to see a method called weighted average method, weighted average concept. So what it actually means? Why we are calling this as a weighted average without, or why we are adding a term weighted average here? So let's see one by one and try to establish the concept from basic examples itself here. So the basic definition we're having is an average in which each quantity to be averaged is assigned to a weight. So let us understand by examples this definition. So first read the, or we have the basic definition regarding these values here. So what is meant by a weighted average means an average in which each quantity to be averaged is assigned to a weight. So there is an average. There is a multiple averages. Those multiple averages values are assigned to a single average value. So that is a basic definition we have. So what do we need to find from this value? So these weightings, so what these weightings will actually do? So your weightings are nothing but average, and these average will determine the relative impedance of each quantity and average. After having this one, so what is the basic formula you are having? So the basic formula we are having is, here we are denoting some values. So let xi be the number of observations and wi be the weights of the given observations or the average of the given observation. So the basic formula we are having is x bar or w, that will be equals to, or weighted average will be equals to wi w1 x1 plus w2 x2 plus w3 x3 plus and so on of wn xn divided by w1 plus w2 plus w3 and so on wn. So the numerator part we call it as a sum of observations, and the denominator part we call it as total number of observation, and this total equation can be summated as like this one. So x bar or w will be equals to summation from I is equals to 1 to n wi xi divided by summation I is equals to 1 to n wi. So in simple terms, so these are the way what actually reference here. So here x bar represents the weighted average and n represents the total number of observations here, and W represents the weights applied to each value of x, and Xi represents the data assigned to each value. So in simple terms, we can write this formula as like this. So weighted average will be equals to sum of weighted terms divided by the total number of terms. So having an idea of these concept here, so all you need to do is you need to remember the basic formula. What is the basic formula we are having? The basic formula we are having in the averages concept. The average will be equals to total, okay, sum of observations divided by the total number of observations. So this was the basic formula we are having. So from this formula, we are deriving this average or weighted average formula. Sometimes this weighted average is also known as the combined average. Okay, let's see some examples to understand the concept here. As I said in the example that this weighted average is also known as the combined average. Let us consider an example. Let us assume that there are 100 students in a class. So let us assume that there are 100 students in a class. These students are divided into two groups. So those groups are group A and group B. So here group A consists of 60 students, and those 60 students average gave it as 20. And a group B consists of 40 remaining 40 students, and those average gave it as 30. What we need to find, we need to find the average of all the students here. So let us try to write what he has given in the data here. So there are 100 students in the class. Those 100 students are divided into two groups. So the number of students in class A or group A was 60, and the number of students in class B or group B was 40. So what is the average he gave in the question? The average he gave it as for group A, he gave it as 20, and for group B, he gave it as 30 here. So what is the basic formula we know from the average? Average will be equals to sum divided by the total number of observations. So here we are having n value, we are having number of observations value, we are having average value, we are having. From these from these two data, we can easily find the sum of observations here. Sum we can easily find. What is the sum we are having? So 60 into 20 that will be equals to 1200, and 40 into 30 that will also will be equals to 1200. So the total sum we are having is 2400. And how many observations are present here? So the total number of students in the class. The total number of students in the class is 60 plus 40 that will be equals to 100. Now we need the combined average or the weighted average. So what is the combined average formula we told in the previous slide here? So the formula for that one is this formula in simple terms we are writing this one. Weighted average is equals to sum of weighted terms divided by the total number of terms. So having an idea of that formula, the same formula we are writing here. Some in a different sense here. The weighted average is equals to total sum divided by the total number of observations. So what is the total sum we are having here? The total sum we are having here is 2400. And what is the number of observations here we are having? We are having a number of observations will be 100 here. And if we do that one simplification, we'll get the answer as a 24. So the combined average or the average of all the students in a class was a 24, which is lying in between these two values here. So it was greater by plus 4 and it was lesser by minus 6 for these given average values given in the question. Having an idea of this formula or this example, let us try to consider one more example for better understanding here. So we are trying to solve not this manner. We are trying to establish or explain the concept in this sense. So this is the general way of solving here. This is the general way of solving here by with the formula approach method. But not always the formula approach method is not an helpful for solving the problems here. So that's why what we are doing here, we are trying to establish that one by using some simple terms or simple explanation here. So let us consider one more example here for better understanding of the given concept here. So what is the concept is let us consider that there are three subjects marks. So those subjects marks are 80, 90 and 70. And the number of students who got those marks are 2, comma 3, comma 1. So 80 marks are got by 2 students and 90 marks are got by 3 students and 70 marks are got by 1 student. So what we need to find, so similar to the previous case itself, here also we need to find the average of all the students here. Need to find the average of all the students here. So let us try to write it in a table form here. So the marks and number of students. What are the number of marks? 80 marks are got by 2 students, 90 marks are got by 3 students, and 70 marks are got by 1 student. So what we need to do, we need what is the basic formula we are having? The basic formula we are having weighted average is equals to total sum divided by the total number of observations. So from these two values, so this I assumed as a number of okay, this I assumed as number of observations, and this I assumed as average. These marks are taken as average. So from these two values, I'll get the sum here. So I'll get the sum here. So what is the sum here? 80 into 2 plus 90 into 3 plus 70 into 1. So if I do that one, I'll get the answer as the total sum I'll get it as a 500, and the total number of students I gave it as a 3 plus 2 plus 1, that will be equals to 6. So from these two data, we can easily substitute the values and get the answer. So what is the answer? 500 and divided by 6. So that will get the answer as 83.3. So the combined average of all these students in a class, all these 6 students in a class was 83.33. So I hope you are clear with this explanation, and for better understanding of the concept, we are trying to establish or we are trying to explain this same example or some other example with a shortcut approach here. I know this, some may feel this was a easy method, sir. We are going with this method only. But listen the average or shortcut method also in order to confine to this not only to this method only, try to approach the given problem in a different format also. So let us see how to approach that one here. So from the previous example we can derive a formula. So what is the formula we can derive? So what we are trying to here, as we said in the previous example only, the formula will be n1. So there we denoted as a w1 and x1. So here we denoted as so here there we instead of a here we are instead of w here we are denoting it as w here. Instead of n here we denoted there x here. So both representations are same, but we are taking some different letters here. So n1 a1 plus n2 a2 plus n3 a3 and so on divided by n1 plus n2 plus n2 and so on. So having an idea of this formula, we are trying to give one more example here. So what he gave in the question is there are average of 20 results is 30. The average of other 20 results is 40. So how many results are present here means, so we need to remember that there are 40 results are present. Among 40 results, 20 results value gave it as 30 and other 20 results value gave it as 40. What we need to do, we need to find the average of all the results. So we need to find the average of all the 40 results. So if you go with the formula approach, you can easily get the answer for this one. So what is the formula? Average or weighted average is equals to sum 20 into 30 plus 20 into 40 divided by the total number of observations. If we simplify that equation, I can easily get the answer. The answer is 35. But not always very simple numbers are given in the question. So sometimes some difficult numbers are also given in the question. So in that case, we are trying to avoid the multiplication. So here since 2 and 3 are simple numbers, suppose what if 19 into 39 is present and 29 into 39 is present. So in that case, multiplication process is difficult for us. So what we are saying from the previous sessions also, we are trying to eliminate a majority of the calculations with that shortcut methods here. So in order to eliminate the calculations present here, we are trying to approach a method called deviation concept here. So this deviation method I already discussed in the introduction classes as well. That so what is that question? We are trying to write this one like this. So what he gave, there are 20 observations. For those 20 observations, the average he gave it as 30. So similar. So here n value we are taking and here we are taking the average value here. And again, another 20 results value gave it as 40. Now what we need to find? We need to find the average of all the results. So we need to find the average of all the results. So this was the given data question. So what we need to do is we need to, so in order to solve this one by using the deviation concept. So in the deviation concept also, I told you one point that among the given numbers, you try to assume one number as your average. Among the given numbers, you try to assume one number as your average, and then compare how much it is deviated from the assumed average. Similarly, here also we are doing the same here. So I assume either 30 or 40 as my average, and then compare how much it is deviated from the given numbers here. So let us assume my average is 30. So if I compare this 30 with 30, there is a deviation of 0 for how many observations? 20 observations. So 0 into 30 that will give me the deviation as a 0 here. Similarly, if I compare this 30 with 40, there is a deviation of plus 10 here. For how many observations? There are 20 observations. I am getting a deviation of 10 into 20, that will be equals to 200. So this 200 and plus 200 and I am getting as extra here. This 200 and I am getting as extra here. So as I said, the assumed average plus the and the deviation we got divided by the total number of observations. So 30 plus 200 divided by 40, that will give me the answer as 35. So here also we are getting the same answer here. So what is the majority or the basic idea to discuss this concept is we are trying to avoid the majority of the calculation by introducing simple concepts here. So try to habituate or try to develop this kind of approaches in order to get the answer in an easy manner. We will get to know in the next problems while we discussing the next actual problems. You'll get to know why we are referring this deviation concept irrespective of the formula approach. We'll get to know while solving the actual problems here. I hope you are understand. I hope you understand this concept here, and having an idea of this concept here, try to solve these two problems and comment your answers in the comment section here. We'll be waiting for your comments and we'll discuss these two problems in the next session. Have a good day. Thank you for watching this session. We'll meet in the next session.